In the lands between, there are many who exist outside the grace of the erdtree. These groups, often persecuted and mistreated, are seen as an insult to the Golden Order itself. But even among them, there are few who are as hated as the Omen. These large brutish monsters are characterized by the horns covering their bodies and are considered to be cursed from birth. However, as we will see, the truth is much more complicated, and it draws a distinction that I believe will be highlighted in Shadow of the Erdtree. So today, we will dive into the true nature of their predicament and see how their so-called curse is actually the result of a self-fulfilling prophecy by the Golden Order. And so, with that said, enjoy! The Omen are reviled by the Golden Order, seen as horned abominations that are sometimes born among the people, both high and low. They are systematically confined in the sewers of Leyndell, where they will spend the rest of their lives, while those who escape that fate are relentlessly hunted down by Omen killers. From birth, the Omen children of commoners will have their horn excised, a gruesome procedure which often kills the newborn child. A procedure particularly cruel and senseless, as even if they do survive, they still go on to grow more horns over the stumps left behind by the cutting. When the shattering broke out, the Golden Order went as far as drafting the Omen into the war, used for their brute force and the fear they inspire into the enemy. But even under the unusual circumstances of the war, one thing remained constant. Those that were sent to battle all had their horns cut off yet again. The Golden Order very clearly takes issue with the horns of the Omen, otherwise they wouldn't be so fixated on cutting them. This behavior can be explained as yet another example of the Order's effort to suppress all things related to the Crucible, as the horns growing on the Omen are one of the many aspects of the Crucible which can manifest on living beings, ranging from animal aspects like wings, tails and horns, to, I would even argue, even more primordial ones like roots. They are telltale signs of the lineage that all living things share, and their origin found in the crucible of primordial life. Long ago, these features were seen as something divine, a sign of holiness. But in the Golden Order, they became increasingly disdained despite the Crucible being the origin of the Erdtree and the Crucible Knights being paragons of order. The Misbegotten arguably display the vestiges of the Crucible even more conspicuously compared to the Omen, and are believed by the people to be punishment for making contact with it. And though they are treated as slaves or worst since birth, they are still treated notably better than the Omen. Or rather, it would be more appropriate to say that they are not treated with the same abhorrence the Omen are shown. Most likely the reason for that is that the Omen are considered cursed beings, but the true nature of this curse is a bit tricky to identify. We know through Mohg and Morgot, the Omen twins of Marika and Godfrey, that it is specifically their blood which is considered cursed. For example, Morgot seals away his accursed blood until it forms the blade inside his cane, while Mohg, on the other hand, came into contact with an outer god, the Formless Mother, who offered him a blessing thanks to his accursed blood. It seems that the blood of Omen has a particular quality to it, a quality which is of interest to an outer god, but also seems to drive spirits to a frenzy. The cursed blood pot item embodies a childhood memory of Mohg and has the effect of raising the fervor and aggression of spirits, while the Omen Smirk mask says that Omen are haunted and tormented by evil spirits. If we take a look at the Omen found in the sewers of Leyndell, you will notice that they use wraiths and wraith fire in combat, the same power that is also imbued into Margit's cursed sword after he is unable to contain his curse when fighting the Tarnished. The wraiths are said to be the vengeful spirits of those who died when cursed, and are seemingly the evil spirits who haunt the Omen because of the unique quality of their blood. But while Morgot only had disdain for his cursed blood, Mohg reveled in it. And there lies our lead. As unlike what many people seem to think, what Mohg embraced wasn't his Omen nature, strictly speaking, but rather it was the filth he grew up in. The Blood Boon spell says that when Mohg stood before the Formless Mother underground, his blood erupted with fire. and in that moment he became infatuated with the defilement he was born into. Mohg's great rune also says that Mohg and Morgot are twin brothers and their great runes are naturally similar. But Mohg's rune is soaked in accursed blood because of his devout love for the wretched mire he was born into. If we take a look at the ingredients for the cursed blood pot item which we mentioned earlier, only the blood rose stands out. An item beloved by those who serve Mohg, it is a flower that only blooms in festering blood and can be found on putrid corpses. What all of this is showing is that the game is quite explicitly drawing the connection between the curse and defilement, not between the curse and omenhood. And to further show that, there is no better candidate than the most defiled of all, the Dung Eater.
Mate, there's something I should probably tell you. You heard of the Dung Eater? He's a madman. Has it out for everyone. Curses them. Goes round in his rank armour and all. You see him though. Stay, well, away. I was in the same jail as him once, so I know firsthand. He's a god-forsaken monster. Not just some petty thug like me. He's a killer. Kills people. And curses the souls. Does all sort of shit to the corpses. To keep them cursed forever. I ain't seen nothing more disgusting in all my years. I ain't ever been more scared neither. Rooted to the bloody spot while he did that. To my friend.
The Dung Eater is by far the most vile character created by From Software. Harboring a deep hatred for the world, his only concern is to spread the curse. He killed countless people and subjected their corpses to all sorts of unimaginable repugnant acts. The reason Dung Eater defies the corpses of his victim is because he uses them to cultivate the curse. By spoiling and corrupting them with whatever wretched thing he is doing, he creates an environment for the seedbed curse he placed inside of them to grow. Dung Eater is interesting as he acts as a sort of foil to the Omen and highlights in the most extreme way the true origin of this curse. His armor mimics the appearance of an Omen with his horns cut off and represents his appearance as he wished to see it, the heart of an Omen without the body to match. But the Dung Eater is no Omen at all. As we have already seen, the Omen are those born manifesting the horns of the Crucible, and the only thing he shares with them is the curse. And so what this shows is that the curse isn't inherent to omenhood. The curse is actually the result of their environment, of the defilement they grew in. As one of my favorite item descriptions says, filth covering the exterior eventually seeps inside, soiling one's very spirit. The reason From Software called a character the literal shit eater is because the whole concept of the curse in this context is based on the link of both physical and spiritual impurity, and something called kegare. Kegare is a Japanese concept meaning impurity or defilement, signifying spiritual pollution that can arise from physical filth, misfortune, or contact with death and disease. Unlike simple dirtiness, kegare affects one's spiritual purity and social standing, highlighting how physical filth can seep into the soul. The sources of kegare include blood, death, and disease, and contact with these elements corrupt the spiritual essence, necessitating purification rituals. For example, touching a corpse is highly defiling and requires a specific rite to cleanse the impurity. Kegare is a concept that is heavily present in From Software games, from Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or Sekiro, and is the true origin of the so-called Omen curse. If it was truly their ties to the Crucible that had made the Omen cursed, we would surely expect to see similar hints of cursed blood in other enemies in-game. After all, there is quite a few who have ties to the Crucible. We have already mentioned the Misbegotten, but there is also others, like the Horned Lions, or anything relating to the practices of the ancestral followers, who are all about the sprouting of horns. But there is no sign of the curse. Meanwhile, what we can see is that those who embrace the curse, like Mohg and Dung Eater, who isn't even an Omen, have a deep connection and infatuation with filth, defilement, and impurity. To reiterate, when Mohg accepted his accursed blood, what he developed was not love for his Omen nature or the Crucible. It was love for the filth and the sewers he grew in. And what we can see in Mohgwyn Palace is him perpetuating that environment. So let me end this video on a small bet. My expectation is that the Shadowlands contains the remnants of a culture where aspects of the Crucible were considered divine. As such, we are bound to meet plenty of Omen-like horned enemies, but my prediction is that these ancient Omen will, in the vast majority of cases, not be showing any sign of cursed blood. If I am wrong, so be it, but if I am right, consider that another argument for this theory. So in short, here is my proposition. The Omens are the group of people who were born manifesting the holy horns of the Crucible. And for that reason, they were confined in the sewers underground by the Golden Order, spending their lives in filth. The Omen are considered cursed beings, but the truth is that the curse is not inherent to their Omen nature and was a result of their mistreatment. And there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this short one. Be sure to subscribe in order not to miss future videos, and of course liking and sharing the video is greatly appreciated. I wish you all an amazing DLC release and see you next time. Bye bye!